His smile faded when classes resumed. I glanced over my shoulder, struggling to match Sebastian's long strides and his stream of light, careless talk. Ominous trailed a few steps behind, working through another chocolate bar, but his forehead seemed heavier now. That sullen aura clung to him again, like fog, like a weight, like a curse. I puffed out a laugh, shaking my head as if reacting to something Sebastian had said. A curse? Ridiculous. I hardly knew anything about him. He knew nothing about me. Still, somehow, knowing his smile existed made everything harder. I was pretending to listen, pretending I didn't want to turn around and watch someone who barely tolerated me. Pretending wasn't one of my strengths. I didn't like it. "What's wrong with Ominous now?" I asked, low and sharp. Frustration, guilt, and something else all tangled together. Sebastian blinked, then gave his friend a long, quiet look, the kind only given when you're certain you won't be seen.
"Don't worry,"
he said.
"He just hates care of magical creatures.
His lip quirked.
Furry things scare him."
I stared at him like he'd just confessed Ominous was the giant squid. Sebastian chuckled. "Why didn't he drop the class, like Anne did?" I murmured, rubbing my eyes against the aching pressure of the day. It felt awful, asking questions, but I couldn't find anything else to say. I couldn't remember a word of what Sebastian had been talking about before.
"Simple exclusion,"
he said, more subdued now.
"Arithmancy, ancient runes, difficult if you're blind. Divination's nonsense, according to him, and his family forbids Muggle studies. So, care of magical creatures it is."
He slowed a little. I barely noticed we'd reached the gamekeeper's hut. My eyes were on the grass. I swallowed, a lump of sudden understanding pressing at my throat. How could I have been so foolish?
"He memorizes a lot,"
Sebastian added softer.
"Professor Weasley showed him how to transfigure books into Braille. He's gotten pretty good at it."
His glance grazed my cheek like heat. Was eating a Muggle candy bar considered a crime among Gaunts? And if it was, how bad was it to smile while doing it? At me, no less. The thought lingered, heavy, complicated, unresolved. Then,
"Attention, class!"
Professor Howard's gloved hands came together with a muffled clap, jolting me back to the present. She announced, brisk and no-nonsense, that we'd be caring for Puffskeins today, and that we'd need to partner up. Partner up. I felt Sebastian's presence behind me like a warm weight, and for a second, I almost turned. I didn't. What if he didn't want to pair up with me? What if I was just tagging along? Where was Ominous? "Oh, they're adorable!" I cried out, too suddenly, too bright. Maybe to him, maybe to no one. "They look like giant balls of wool." Without waiting for a response, I walked away, pretending it was eagerness that drove me toward the pen. I joined a short, brown-haired girl in Hufflepuff yellow, who was already opening the gate in one swift practice movement. We exchanged a shy smile, hers genuine, mine lacking a little bit of everything. I reached into the squeaky, bouncing blur and picked a brown one named Gerald. He had huge eyes and a long purple tongue, the going to slurp across your face variety. Holding him at arm's length, I stepped instinctively, habitually, toward Sebastian. And stopped. Ominous was beside him now, nose wrinkled like he'd just smelled something foul. My gaze flicked between them and back to the girl beside the pen.
"I refuse to touch this thing without my gloves,"
Ominous muttered, already striding toward the blackboard.
"Professor Howin, can I go fetch them from the herbology classroom?"
Then he was gone. Vanishing toward the greenhouses like escaping was the whole point of the lesson.
"I'll wait for him,"
Sebastian said, stepping a little closer. There was amusement on his face, bright, familiar.
"Otherwise, Imelda will pounce when she sees he's without a partner again."
I reacted slowly. I didn't know how to respond. To him. To any of it. So I lowered my gaze to the moving chaos in my arms and let the moment pass.
"Oi! Sweeting!"
Sebastian called, Waving at the Hufflepuff girl, who was holding her puffskein much more confidently, the creature rested still and serene in the crook of her arm. The girl was small. Everything about her seemed small, from the delicate way her hands cradled her charge to the soft shape of her smile. She had silky brown hair, slightly longer than mine, and wide, deer-like eyes. In short, she was overwhelmingly adorable. She turned, brow raised at his rather blunt way of requesting her presence, but walked over anyway.
"What's up, Sallow?"
she asked, smiling, but with a hint of caution in her voice. Before Sebastian could reply, he had to duck to avoid Gerald's enthusiastic tongue.
Well,
He said, stepping aside.
I figured you could share your infinite beast-wrangling wisdom with your favourite classmate.
He flashed a charming smile, the innocent yet irresistible kind.
"If you think I'm doing all the work again, just so you can cadge another good grade."
I'm not catching anything.
Sebastian said quickly, not even bothering to hide the smirk.
I'm just looking out for my, Nina here, who's in desperate need of a competent partner since I'll be tied up babysitting.
Got them!
Ominous panted, hands on his knees, gloves clenched in his fists.
Him.
Sebastian finished, gesturing broadly at his sweaty friend.
I was hoping you could give us a little guidance, sweeting. I'm trying to prevent a tragic incident involving this one's delicate nerves,
He poked Ominous's cheek.
and that one's very active tongue.
He pointed at Gerald, who blinked with curiosity.
Uh-huh.
The girl snorted, stroking her own puffskein.
"I suppose we could switch. Roland seems in a calmer mood, but you have to promise to be gentle."
We most certainly will.
Sebastian said solemnly, while Ominous visibly recoiled, making a show of wrapping his hands in dragonhide like he was preparing for battle.
"There."
The girl said, gently transferring Roland into Sebastian's arms. I thought I saw her flinch slightly when her fingers brushed the calloused back of his hand. The creature looked miniature in his grip.
Ah! Get that thing away from me!
Ominous yelped as Roland greeted his new keepers with a cheerful flick of purple tongue.
"Don't squeeze him like that."
The girl said calmly, stepping closer. She adjusted Sebastian's arms with quiet precision, letting Roland snuggle into the crook of his elbow.
Thanks, sweeting. You're the best.
Sebastian beamed. She offered a small smile in return, her eyes flicking to the ground.
You'll be in good hands. See you later, Nina.
He added, before wandering off with a thoroughly miserable Ominous in tow.
"I'm Poppy, by the way. Poppy Sweeting."
The girl said, turning to me at last.
"It's nice to see a new friendly face."
I'm Nina Kov, I replied, the tension in my chest easing for the first time in what felt like hours. And the pleasure is all mine. She smiled wider, and I returned it. This time without pretending.